name is Lou Gerard. Some people may be familiar with that name because it's a fairly old name in Reading now. My background, of course, was teaching. I went to San Jose State and graduated with a master's degree in education. Decided I'd also take a look at administration because they had a course there, and they said, well, you should really be an administrator before you take this course. I said, well, I'll just try to take it anyway. I never held an administrative position in Los Altos, where I first taught for 10 years, but I finished my career in education, so I thought in Palo Alto when I taught at Jordan Junior High School for 2 more years. And then my wife and I decided, for some non-vicarious reason, we were going to move to Reading. And I approached my father on the idea, and he didn't like that at all. He said, no, you're a professional person. And I said, well, we'd like to come up to Reading, and I'd like to learn the nature of the automobile business and hopefully succeed you. So Diane and I moved to Reading in 1961 and been here ever since. What I did is work in various departments of Lou Gerard Motors, so that I could acquaint myself with how they do everything. Sales, service, parts, those types of things, because those are all different elements of the same business. Finally my father said, well, I think you're ready to take over. I'm going to retire to the parts department, because he loved the parts department of all the departments or anything in the automobile business. And that's where, if I couldn't find him anywhere, that's where I found him, is over in the parts department. Reading was a very, very different town at that time than it is today. There had been discussions for, I guess, quite some time about the nature of downtown Reading, and since it was the hub of commerce at that time, would it be more appropriate to have a downtown that was more committed to commerce? And for that reason, the city of Reading embarked upon the grand scheme of converting the downtown area into a downtown air-conditioned mall, of all things, in Redding, California. It was a success of sorts for perhaps as much as 2 years, and then no. And the reason for that is that other businesses in downtown had seen the option for their success down where they could have more parking and so forth. And so that led to the founding of all that business to the south of town, down closer to the river, Montgomery wards, and all of those things morphed to there. And unfortunately, their morphing occurred in advance of doing the project downtown. The timing could not have been worse. I mean, it literally could not have been worse. And as a consequence, the community was, you don't like to say divided, but it really was, from a practical sense, of commerce. And you had the downtown, and J.C. Penney's was downtown, Montgomery Ward's was off in the distance, and that also led to the formation, after the incorporation of Reading, of the area of business that was formerly known as Enterprise. My wife and I were living over there on Dusty Lane, which was a great street to live on. We had a lot of friends there, and it was a very, very nice, quiet street. But lo and behold, commerce has its way they constructed the new freeway right behind our house. And it was very, very loud because it was on a downhill slope, and the diesel brakes were put on, and the compression brakes is going down the hill. Oh my. So we said, head house, let's get out of here. I guess it was only because I had determined that my role was going to be in education. And I enjoyed teaching greatly, and I was a very successful teacher, I would say, for myself. And so it was only natural that I would follow with concern about my kids and their education and what was going on at Mistletoe School and so forth and so on. And I knew all of the board members were all business people at the time in the Reading area, and so I enjoyed that opportunity, and I was on that board for 9 years. We moved to a piece of property that we had purchased on Victoria Drive, and then we started the new year at Shasta. Oh, I think I rested for about three years, and the opportunity came up. I threw my name in, and there I was. I've served on that board now for 46 years.
46 years.
Well, it's not a pleasant story, frankly speaking. I think from Shasta's standpoint, it's very, very difficult, I think, for one standing school district to embark upon the complexity that the state of California has for school districts. We needed to take a look at what we had in a school to be offered to the public and how we might go about it in a reasonable fashion. And that led us to see that maybe we needed to look to the outside a little bit more than we had. I got brave, I guess, and decided to call on Mike McLaughlin that I had met previously and explained the problems that we had. And I said, is there any way that we can explore at least the possibility of moving our kids or some of our kids from 7th and 8th grades into Reading, because you're offering a far, far better education in here than we currently are able to offer at Shasta. Mike was very, very receptive to the idea, said, take a look at it. I guess he talked to some other people, and boom, lo and behold, he granted our request. And that led to the possibility of doing similarly things in Igo Ono and French Gulch. I think that we gave a good deal of thought to what we might call the partnership, and I'm not sure who came up with it. New Millennium sounded good, so we called it the New Millennium Partnership. And it has succeeded from that time to the present time. It incorporated what small pieces of the old Shasta Union Elementary School District was, of which it was composed, which included a little hunk of what was formerly the Mountain. And to this day, the district has, I think, been very, very successful. Reading schools today are very, very good and well-recognized schools. It's a well-recognized school district. I had been offered a job by the Reading Chamber of Commerce as their executive, and that was an interesting challenge for me in the business world. The the chamber had great opportunities, but no one had realized how they might capitalize on making it stronger, more productive for the business community. So I kind of drew a scheme for them, organized meetings and things for them, and it worked out very, very well. We grew it by about 150%. Another 10 years, and then retired from it, and at that point we had a retirement plan in place for a chamber executive. Now, who would have ever thought of that?
A retirement plan. Yeah.
And of course, along the way, I got drafted into an amazing project, and that was the Cascade Theatre. I saw it sitting there. We talked about what we could do to restore the theater to its former beauty and make it a legitimate theater from the standpoint of theatrics. The first thing, of course, that we had to do was figure out how you're going to handle this thing. Jefferson Public Radio owns the theater. Well, that was probably a very, very good entree, because my wife Diane happened to be on the JPR board. Talk about loading. And we did a little strategizing, thinking about how we were going to move this thing forward and give recognition to the theater, but making people aware of what we would do. And so the first thing we did, the marquee light, it was just in terrible shape. It didn't work. But I knew all the people I thought I needed to know in terms of lighting and so forth, and I went to the meeting of the electricians in town that do that, and they have an organization, and told them what we were trying to do, and would they be interested at all in helping us with doing some of the things in this project that needed to be done to restore the theater to its former grandeur, but also needing functionality. So the first thing that we did after that, they were for that, was to take down the big marquee Cascade sign and to completely overhaul the neon and everything else.
All neon back in it, right?
Yep. And at no charge to the theater, we had an open air program in which the sign was reinstalled on the theater. We advertised it heavily in the Record Searchlight and said that at 8 o'clock on whatever day it was, if you're present downtown, you will be very, very surprised. And we're broadcasting all of that on radio at the same time, and they flicked the switch and the Cascade light sign came on, and everybody was clapping. People were crying.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't believe it. People were actually crying. And so what we did was systematically restore the building from the outside in. Had to remove the walls, temporary construction walls inside,
Fourplex.
Yeah, all that had to go. And that theater opened in 1935, 35,
It was in the 30s,
35,
I remember
30,
seeing it in the
35.
newspaper.
And its air conditioning system was located down in the basement, wasn't nothing on the roof, and it took over largely the whole underside of the stage, this heavy-duty equipment. And we decided that had all go because it was old and it wasn't working very well at the time. So we got rid of that and a big old boiler and that stuff. And that yielded us a huge space downstairs. And with that, we also discovered that there was just nothing under that area of the building but dirt. Well, they had a foundation perimeter, but not.
That's what I mean. It's like
yeah,
not
right.
under.
So I said, well, let's look at here. We need more seating space in the theater itself, a couple of rows, but we also need some functionality here too. So how about if we ask them to simply move the stage forward, give us what we need, and to build dressing rooms, decent, nice dressing rooms for the performers, and utilize the space that dirt is taking, and that's what we did. I mean, it didn't cost much of anything to do all of that, and then we built it's interesting, the space below for the actors and everything else is very, very spacious now, but it has a little two-step stairway to move from the base of the floor up to where the dressing room is. The dressing room has mirrors all the way around the room at the counter for people when they're putting their makeup on and so forth and so on. And it just worked out very, very easily for them. And it all came together very nicely. We had a very, very good board of people that served on that committee, putting the whole thing together. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Lou. Well, thank you so much.
Pleasure to do.
Yeah, I appreciate you talking about the partnership for sure.
Okay.
All right, sir. Well, you're headed out again.
Yeah, I'm headed out again. I don't know what comes next, but
Yeah.
what comes next is lunch.